March is shaping up to be a pretty decent month for the Nintendo Switch with a lot of exciting game releases. Want to focus on just the RPGs in this video and go over 6 of the RPGs that are coming to the Nintendo Switch in March. Some of them I am incredibly excited about. Remember to hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell notification icon. You'll be notified whenever we upload the video and it helps out the channel, so thanks a lot. So let's get started with one of my favorite games in the last decade, and that is Kingdoms of Amalur: Ray Reckoning. That is coming to the Nintendo Switch on March 16th. It released on other platforms a while back, but now it is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch, and I think it's going to find a great home on the Switch. This is the Ray Reckoning version, so you do get some additional DLC. If you've never played Kingdoms of Amalur, what you should expect is an open-world action RPG with great gameplay. Like, if you're not a fan of slow-based role-playing games, whether they're turn-based games or things of that nature, and you want something that's fast-paced, action-oriented, Kingdoms of Amalur will be right up your alley, and I think that's the biggest takeaway most people have with KOA. The gameplay is just fast, visceral, and a lot of fun, and having it on the Nintendo Switch is going to be excellent. By the way, this game came out way back in the day on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and it's actually getting a new expansion called Fatesworn later in 2021. So the revitalization of KOA, a game that financially did not do very well given the amount of money that was put into the game, but seeing it have a little bit of revitalization, seeing a lot of people take note to it, it's something that definitely warms my heart, because I was a big fan of the game when I played it back on the PlayStation 3, and now to see it get some love, to see it being on so many different platforms on a Nintendo Switch, you'll be able to take it on the go, play it at home, all that good stuff. And it's one that I would definitely keep your eyes on. Even if you're not picking it up day one, at the very least, add it to your wish list and then get on it. It doesn't have the best story in the world. The narrative isn't great. I don't think you're going to get super invested into the characters. However, the content, I think, is really solid. And again, a lot of side content and things of that nature to really keep you invested for a while. Next up, we have another action RPG I think a lot of people are excited for, and that is the latest in the Monster Hunter franchise with Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter has taken the world by storm with the Monster Hunter game that's already out on the Switch. You're talking about Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter, in terms of a franchise over here in the West, has really elevated itself. It was always a big deal over in Japan, but now Western consumers are all over Monster Hunter, and commercially these games do incredibly well. The footage we've seen thus far of Monster Hunter Rise has looked incredible. If you didn't play the demo, that's unfortunate, but it's going to be a game that I think a lot of people are going to spend a lot of time on, and one that, if you're talking about a value standpoint, I can very well see this being the one that you get the most amount of hours for your dollar. It's going to be one of those kinds of games, when you look at the entire 2021 calendar, Monster Hunter just lends itself to being incredibly replayable, and Capcom does a really good job of keeping the game updated, keeping the game fresh, and always giving you a reason to go back and play the game. Rise will be using the same seamless map approach introduced in Monster Hunter World, and it's going to be a game that I think, whether you play it alone or you play it with a couple friends or whatever you want to do with it, it's going to be one that you'll probably want to pick up on day one, and I don't see it going on sale anytime in the near future, just because it's going to be one of those games that I think is going to sell very well. It's going to be a game that's going to be worth the $60, and it's hard to say that for a lot of games these days. But Capcom releases, and particularly Monster Hunter, after the success of World, after the success of Generations Ultimate, I'm confident in thinking that Monster Hunter Rise is going to be a slam dunk. Okay, next up, if you're a fan of JRPGs, this is definitely one to keep on your radar, and not a lot of people are talking about it. Saviors of Sapphire Wings and Stranger of the Sword City Revisited Collection is coming west for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this will be dropping on March 16th, and these might be games that you're not familiar with. Saviors of Sapphire Wings was not released over here in the West prior to this. We did get Stranger of the Sword City. I believe it's on PC, it's on PlayStation Vita, I want to say, and it might be on a couple of other platforms, but now we're going to have the games easily accessible. Stranger of the Sword City was a pretty cool JRPG. It's more of a dungeon crawling JRPG. Definitely not games that you are going to expect, them breaking any sort of technical limitations or anything of that nature, but I think they are going to be two quality JRPGs that, given that they're both bundled in one collection, it is going to be a solid pickup. I should also note a limited edition is available for pre-order through the NIS America store. If you want something that's probably going to be worth of monetary value in the future, I could definitely see something like this being, something of value in the future. There's actually only limited stock left. They're saying 0 to 5% of the stock is left remaining, so take that for what you will. The games itself definitely not going to reach a wide audience, but you really don't need to. As long as it caters towards that niche, as long as they pick the game up, it probably will be successful, and that's kind of been the NIS MO recently anyway, and they do a pretty good job with delivering the quality of content that their fans want to see, and I think this is going to be another indication of that. Again, that'll be dropping on March 16th. Okay, I do want to go over 2 other games real quickly. Harvest Moon Wonderworld will be dropping on March the 2nd. I think this might be a little bit of a hard sell to some people at $50, but hey, Harvest Moon is here. I think that is an IP with a lot of appeal. Let's hope that this is something compelling enough for some people to check out, and if nothing else, you can add it to your wish list, maybe pick it up down the line during a sale south of $20 or something like that. Game does note set off on an adventure around the world to revive the Harvest Goddess. Play as a boy or a girl and woo one of 5 bachelors and 5 bachelorettes, each with their own unique personality and backstory. Raise and keep animals such as cows, sheep, goats, and even reindeer. Use your Expando farm to easily travel from one area to another. It's going to have a variety of locales, including beaches, deserts, and even a volcano, and this is the latest entry in the Harvest Moon franchise. Again, March 2nd, you can check that out for $49.99. And lastly, Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town will also be out March 23rd. $49.99 price point for this as well. Very, very charming art style. I think this is something that's going to be accessible for just about everyone. The game notes, welcome to Olive Town, a peaceful community established by your trailblazing grandfather and his friends. Now that you've taken over his farm, it's your job to carry on his legacy. Plant crops, raise animals, build relationships, and get to know the residents of your new home in a brand new entry in the Story of Seasons series. Cultivate your farm, cultivate your town, a farm of endless possibilities, new adventures of the beaten path. There's always something going on in Olive Town with a variety of different content, local festivals, and watch the town come to life. Get to know your neighbors better with over 200 unique events, and you may even find love with that special someone. So kind of interesting, just a few weeks apart. We have Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons coming out. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But that's going to wrap up this one. Again, March has a litany of quality titles, but from an RPG standpoint, Kingdoms of Amalur and Monster Hunter Rise are definitely going to be at the forefront, but the saviors of Sapphire Wings and then Stranger of Swords City Revisited Collection, I think, will be something, some people check out, and then you got Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons. But that's going to wrap up this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.